Well, it is 7 o'clock on Wednesday evening, and I am Laurel Rutledge, the host of Alignment Vision Action. I see Jenny in the audience. Hopefully, you can hear me, Jenny. Um, I realized I didn't post anything about the show being on tonight. I did. It's been one of those weeks, but it's also election week, which I am always fired up about elections. Always fired up about elections. Um, but also just yeah, I'm yeah. I decided to come on and go ahead and do the show because, like I titled it, "Now what? Now what? What do we do now?" And I am actually not as upset as I thought I was going to be. I'm not happy, but I'm not as upset as I was going to be. Texas is still a hot ass mess, but I guess in some ways that was to be anticipated. The conspiracy theory now, which I'm not a big conspiracy theorist, but I'm not a big conspiracy theorist. I think those are really a little insane. And yet I saw something posted that did give me pause, which was, we had some polling places in Harris County, which is always blue. In Harris County, that started like hours late. And so Harris County, the judge sent out and said, hey, we're leaving polling places open an extra hour till 8 p.m. But you can still vote. At this point, Beto was ahead. And then, right, because Democrats tend to vote early. Beto was ahead. Then the other one started pulling forward, got to be a little bit ahead. All of a sudden, nope, none of those ballots count. None of those mail-in ballots, nothing that came in after 7 o'clock. Nobody who voted after 7 o'clock with the provisional ballots, none of that counts. That's the kind of stuff that gives me pause. And so what I was talking about this week, or had been talking about this week, was, and Jenny, feel free to come up to the stage too. What I've been talking about this week in terms of kind of this nervousness and worry and concern and all of this kind of stuff. And I didn't check. I've been so busy worried about other stuff. Jenny, did Joy win I hope she won her election. I didn't check Ohio. Um, yeah, accept request. Oh, because you know what? I thought I had you as producer. I must not have. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really rough here. No, Joy did not win. She did better than a lot of Democrats in our county,
Mm-mm.
but it was still a tough loss.
Oh man, because I know she worked really hard for that.
She really did.
Ugh. Yeah, it was. I was so worried. I did not sleep well last night. I had to do a presentation with a client today. Um, I don't know. Do you want to come on video, Jenny? Or are you not video ready?
I am sitting on my patio in the dark drinking a glass of wine, to be honest.
That's where I'm gonna be in a minute. Actually, that's a lie. I'm gonna be
Better
in
not
my
bring a
bed.
cat with you.
Yeah, I'm gonna be in my bed with earplugs in and eye mask on, trying to sleep.
Yeah.
Um, I was so nervous, and I said this on the radio show. I love voting. I mean, I am always turned all the way up on election day. I
Mhm.
love it. It gets me jazzed up to vote. I don't know what it is, but I love it. Instilled in me from very young. And then when I was, I don't know, older, and I was a Today Show watcher, and then I started watching Tim Russert. And nobody loved an election more than Tim Russert.
He was
I
great, wasn't
loved
he?
him. Oh my gosh. And his book, Me and Big Russ, or Big Russ and Me, that was
Mhm.
about his father, was such a good book. But I loved watching him. I loved watching Meet the Press. I haven't watched it since he passed away. Loved watching Meet the Press because he just had a way about him. But on election night, him and his little whiteboard that he carried around with his dry erase marker,
Right.
because he was so fired up. I mean, just counting the numbers and what are the polls saying? Where's the poll headed? What does it mean for the country? I mean, he was just on it. And I know Savannah Guthrie has taken over some of that, and she's done a really good job. And I don't know the other guy, but I couldn't even watch returns at all yesterday. And I
Right.
haven't been able to watch returns in a very long time. My nerves can't take it.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I'm like, Laurel, just because you don't choose to look at it doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Yeah, there's that.
So I got up this morning and I had a bunch of stuff to do, and I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna look. I'm not gonna look yet. I'm not gonna look yet. I'm not gonna look yet. And then I finally started looking, and the good news, the good news is that in 5 states, voters were like, we absolutely will not allow you to take away our reproductive rights.
Huge
Hallelujah.
win.
Hallelujah. So it was Vermont and California and Maine and I think Wisconsin and Montana. Or no, Kentucky and
Kentucky of all places.
Kentucky. I was like, thank you, Kentucky. Thank you,
Home of Mitch
Kentucky.
McConnell and Rain,
Oh,
what's his name? I thought I didn't
Rand
think that one
Paul.
had a chance. Yeah.
Yes, I thank you, Kentucky.
Mhm.
And it looks like, I think the last I saw, 95% of polls were in. It looks like Fetterman may pull it out. Well, they're calling it. They're calling
Yeah.
Fetterman as the senator. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. They're calling Fetterman as the senator. Now, what's got me
Mhm.
beyond pissed is that Warnock has to be in a runoff with Herschel Walker.
Yeah, that's
I
terrible.
don't understand that.
I
I don't
don't either.
understand that. Where were you, Georgia? Where were you? Where were you? Have you not been listening to this? What? I don't even. And Stacey Abrams and Demings lost. That just breaks my heart. Absolutely
That
breaks my
was
heart.
my first thought this morning, Laurel, when I saw Stacey's race was I don't know if I want to live in the world where Stacey Abrams doesn't win. Are you
I
kidding
know.
me?
I know. I know. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. I'm just, I just don't know. And I'm going to give her a few weeks. I'm going to do my best to try to get her. I mean, she may say no, but all I can do is ask because I would love to talk to her because she still has such an amazing vision. I mean, the things she did for Georgia, I saw somebody post a minute ago, Georgia, y'all really couldn't show after Stacey did all that work to get y'all registered and get stuff done. Y'all couldn't show up to vote. What?
Mhm.
What is going on?
And it's not just
Um,
Georgia that owes Stacey Abrams,
no,
it's the nation.
the nation should
There
thank her because she
is
was on it.
no better defender of democracy than Stacey
Than
Abrams.
Stacey Abrams. Than Stacey Abrams. It's just the things that she did to get people out there and moving and registered and in action is beyond, just absolutely beyond. And so I'm hoping, from we have not if we ask not. So I was just devastated by that. And I have not had the heart to listen to her concession speech yet.
I haven't either.
Um I just haven't had the heart to do it or Val Demings yet. Um and I keep because it was supposed to be a red tsunami.
Hmm.
So now 45 is all pissed off. But then they have the quote of him saying, "Yeah, when this comes, it's all because of me. But if it doesn't come, it's not my fault." I'm like, is anybody else reading? Is
Right.
anybody else listening to this person?
Right.
And now he's going after DeSantis, so that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I guess.
That's going to be interesting because he's
Interesting
all
is not the
irritated here.
word,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's going to be interesting. So I don't know, Jenny. I felt like I had to find I had to find the positive things. The fact that people said no,
I
no,
agree. I
no.
agree. And I've been really trying to like zoom out my lens as the day
Yeah.
goes on because we were devastated here in Ohio.
Mm.
Um, JD Vance, the author of Hillbilly Elegy, and just a
Oh, yeah.
terrible, terrible person who says that women who are in abusive relationships should stay, and of course doesn't think
Yeah.
abortion should be illegal in any way. He won our open Senate seat.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Yes, it was closer than it um, than it could have been. So it was something like 40-52. Like it was fairly close, but just knowing that we're going to have to put up with him for the next 6 years is just,
Mm.
you can just feel the embarrassment already. And I'm so embarrassed to live in a state where the majority of people would vote for him. But, the majority of people didn't vote either. Turnout was,
Right.
could have been better.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really trying to pull the lens out and see that
Yeah.
overall, I hate that the headline is, well, it could have been a lot worse. That's there wasn't the red tsunami, but you're right. The states that defended women's right to choose,
Yes.
huge. That is a big deal, and I think we have a lot to learn there about
Yes.
separating that issue from
Yes.
candidates.
And having it as a ballot measure. So one of the things for those of you who've been following me, and Jenny's my producer and my good friend and just all around just amazing human. And we've been talking about a lot of this stuff for a while. And one of the things that I worked to do, I put in an application, all this kind of stuff to work a poll, and I never got a call. Now that is not surprising in Harris County because who knows what was going on. But what I decided was, you know what? When I saw what happened with the reproductive rights, and over 5 states had it on the ballot, I'm like, you know what? I'm getting ready to join the League of Women Voters because it's bipartisan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to learn how do you really get things on the ballot? How do we do that? Because I think that's the only way we're going to start going after some of this stuff, given what happened, is we're going to have ballot measures and really take stuff to the people and have it written in a way that people understand, because that's the other thing they do is they write ballot measures to be shady.
Mm-hmm.
And get stuff on the ballot. Get stuff on the ballot because I think that's the only way we're going to get some stuff moving at this point. I really do.
Yeah, and there were some positives with legalization of marijuana and
Yep.
decriminalizing marijuana.
Yep. Saw
That's a
that.
positive. We did have one positive in a U.S. House of Representatives race here in Ohio. We
Hmm.
unseated Steve Shabbat, who has been our
Oh, I remember
representative.
Shabbat.
Yes, from when you lived here. That's how long he's been in
Yes.
office, and he's
Yes.
terrible. He
Yes.
even votes to keep drug prices high for seniors. I mean, he's that bad.
Yep.
Um, but he's just been around forever. And so we unseated him and got Greg Landsman in. So that's a positive.
Hmm.
We had in our statewide school board elections,
Hmm.
or school board of the state, there were 2 people who were, you know,
Book
going nuts
banners.
about CRT and thinks that kids should have their genitals examined before they can play sports, that kind of stuff, and they were not elected. So people were able to use
Yeah.
common sense in those areas.
That's awesome. Hey, Mama. That's
So,
awesome.
yeah, there are some positives, and I think we did learn a lot. And
Hmm.
yeah, it could have been a lot worse.
Hmm.
So there are
Hmm.
some positives, and like we talked before, Laurel, we already decided, no matter what happens, of course, we're going to persist.
Of course. Of course. Nevertheless, she persisted.
Mhm.
There's really no other option, right? There's no other
Right.
option. And what I am pleased about is that while there were some cases here in Texas, in particular in Beaumont, where there was some severe intimidation at the polls, and the judge came in and said,
Oh,
stop it." Yeah. Just like the guys with the AK-47s in Arizona.
no,
And I'm
thank you.
hoping, did Mark Kelly pull it out? It was tight.
So last I checked, he was up still.
Okay. Yeah, it was tight. Oh, and Kathy Hochul won in New York.
That is a good thing.
Yes, yes. Um, and then we have one new Gen Z, the person who,
Yes, the Ben from Florida.
yeah, from Florida, and Wes Moore won in Maryland.
That's great.
A girlfriend of mine, she's like, I love him, so I'm gonna have to look into him. I don't know
Mhm.
enough about him. Um, so I don't know, Jenny. I'm like you. I know I have to stay. I have to stay positive. And one thing I am happy about, at least I haven't heard anything yet, is I didn't hear of any really crazy, violent, Proud Boy Oath Keeper moments.
Right. Me neither. And my mom worked the polls for the first time in her life today.
Did she?
Yesterday. Yeah, uh, uh, I don't know. She probably won't listen. So I don't think she's 70. So, she's not, she wasn't thinking like, I need to try a bunch of new,
Right.
new things necessarily. And she was worried about the long day.
Yes.
And it was a 15-hour day. It's a very long day, but she was
Yes.
really glad that she did it. She had a good time,
Good.
meeting a lot of her neighbors at the polls. So, that gives me hope. That's a positive.
Yes. Yes. I think most of our polling places seem to be staffed by a lot of seniors, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Because they are on it, man. When I went to vote, I voted early, and we got these funky machines. I don't know if they're across the country yet. I don't think they are, but you get these pieces of paper,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have to put the piece of paper in the machine, and then you vote, and get all the voting in, and then you run the paper through the machine, and it like prints out what your votes were,
Mm-hmm.
and then you take those pieces of paper to another machine
Mm-hmm.
to actually cast the vote.
It is
Why?
different every place.
Every place is different, which is part of the problem. And
Yeah.
so, but all of those seniors at our polling place were like, don't walk out with that paper. You got to, you got to,
They
they
were
were
on
like,
it.
post
Yeah.
it up. Like, no, 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 you're not done. Come do that, But they did have in Beaumont, what they were finding is people were coming up standing behind folks. So people had registered, they'd signed in, they went to the next station and somebody said, you need to show me your ID again, and making them call out their
Oh.
like address out loud. People were standing behind them as they voted, which is illegal.
Yeah.
It's illegal to do that. I mean, it was a hot mess in Beaumont. So I don't know. I always hate saying it could have been worse, because there was a big campaign thing about Greg Abbott, because when we didn't have electricity for days, he was like, well, it could have been worse. The fact that he is still in again, and we had a whole group of women. That's where I need to go, except I'm not a mom, so I can't. But we have a whole new MAGA group in Texas, Mothers Against Greg Abbott.
You know what? You don't have to be a mom to be part of that group,
I think I'm going to have to find out what they're doing,
because
and get involved.
you are a mom in a lot of ways, Laurel.
Right? I've got play kids, as they call them. Right? I got a lot of other people's
You
kids.
take care of a lot
Um,
of people in your life.
Man, I just they were on it, but I don't know. There are a couple other races I need to look at, because I'm concerned, because we got a man who's been under indictment for 6 years, who's still the attorney general, and I don't know if we changed our lieutenant governor or not. I think we got stuck with the whole lot again. Um,
Yeah.
the only way we're going to be able to change this is to get some stuff on the ballot. And I am concerned about the school board. I didn't see there on my ballot, at least, we didn't have a big state school board election this year. I think it's next year for us.
Mhm.
We didn't have a big statewide school board election this
Mhm.
year. And so for the Texas Board of Education. So I'll have to look into that and see. But
The other
yeah,
thing,
I'm exhausted.
yeah, the other thing I was going to say that I was really encouraged by during this election cycle is the Democrats and Republicans who are brave
Hmm.
enough to debate each other.
Yeah.
Um, we have a governor in Ohio who refused to debate his opponent,
Wow.
and that shouldn't be allowed.
Right.
Nobody ever got to hear them together. They didn't get to, engage in an exchange of ideas. And when we do that, it's a disservice to democracy. But I
I
did
agree.
see some Democrats and Republicans engaging in debate and exchange in
Yeah.
a respectful way. I think we need to
Yes.
keep doing that. We need to continue these conversations.
I do
You are
too.
great at that, Laurel.
Well, thank
Really,
you.
really skilled with that, and so I think that's a definitely a keep of the stop, start, continue. That's a continue.
Yeah, we've got to, I think we just have to talk about it. We have to try to hope that all of the adults, like in the middle, right,
Mhm, mhm.
continue to show up and see, yes, the positive movement, but also the stuff that didn't get changed, and the people that still got in there. I mean, because what's her name? Marjorie Taylor Greene got reelected.
Ugh, that's ugh.
And so did, who's the guy from Texas with the eye patch? Crenshaw. He got reelected.
Mm.
So there were a number of the big lie supporters who got reelected, but there were quite a few who lost elections big.
Yeah, yeah.
And that to me was a nice sign. It was a nice, um, at least a little bit of a comfort to say that people are like, you know what? No, just stop.
They will
Stop.
hold them accountable, and that's what we need. We need to hold those people accountable.
Yeah. I just hope it continues. I hope it continues, because oh, there are a
Yeah.
lot of things that hold in the balance. So I'm waiting to see these last final races that still have to be, decided. The runoff. I don't know if the Warnock one is the only runoff. I haven't looked through all of the races,
I
but I think
I
that's the only
think so.
runoff, isn't it?
certainly the only big one, and it's
Yeah.
a thing that's particularly unusual about Georgia. They have to have that 50
Yes.
plus one in order to win.
Yep. Yep.
Most states do not have that, so that's really unusual, and it's a shame. I would say the other, I would say, stop for me on the
Yes.
stop that continue is we have spent so many millions of dollars on this campaign, personal contributions, PAC
Mm-hmm.
contributions. What can we do with that money that would be so much better?
Yes.
Spending
Yes.
more,
I
and we just
agree.
know millions and millions more is going to get poured into Georgia for
Ah,
that race. And what could
yeah.
we be doing to help people with that money instead of spending it that way? It's such a
Campaign reform. Yep.
mm-hmm,
Yep, that whole
way.
campaign reform. And when I watched all these commercials and stuff that happened this year that were just awful. I mean, one of the things I do need to go back and check the judges in Harris County because the whole campaign in Harris County was if you don't want crime, you need to get rid of all the Democratic judges. I mean, they just went full
Are
board.
you
They're like, if
kidding?
it says Democrat, don't elect them. I'm like, are y'all serious? Yeah, it
Wow.
was because there were so many that got unseated last election. And lots of Democratic judges got in, and so here we are. So I don't know, Jenny.
Well, we
I'm
got
not
them
ready to
scared,
just throw in the
in a lot
towel,
of
but I'm
places.
tired.
Yeah, I think we got them scared in a lot of places, and that can,
Yep.
bring more backlash, as you know. But
Yep.
I
Oh
do
yeah.
think it's good that we're making people run for their seats instead of just assuming
Yes.
that they're just going to get reelected. Just by
Yep.
running, even if you don't win, you are adding some accountability to the system. You're making those people work for their seat rather
Exactly.
than assuming that they're going to breeze on by and can continue with whatever behavior.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm
Exactly.
tired
And
too, Laurel. I think we get to rest for a minute.
I think so. I'm exhausted, and what I would like to see, like I said, I'm going to get involved with League of Women Voters because I like what they do. It is bipartisan. It's really about getting people registered, getting people educated. So I want to
Hmm.
get involved there. But the other thing for me is, and I was thinking about this with our governor election, and Beto's a great guy and all of that.
Yes, I love
But
him.
how I'm like, I knew he couldn't win. He couldn't win against Beto. How do we find and I don't want to swing that pendulum to just, it doesn't matter who they are, we just need somebody who can win. That doesn't help
Mhm.
us, right? How do we find really great people who are willing to be in this political quagmire crap,
Mhm.
who are reasonable adults with critical thinking and collaboration skills,
Yeah.
who have the greater good in mind as opposed to just their own ego? How do we find them? And maybe it's just Gen Zers. Maybe those are the only folks who will be able to do this.
Mhm.
Um, but I also worry about the machine. It's a big machine,
It
right?
is.
It's DC is a big machine. These state legislatures are a big machine. Folks that come in with zero understanding, that's a little scary too. We saw that with 45. That's
Mhm.
scary too. Right. So
Mhm.
how do we find that middle ground of, yeah, you don't need to be the establishment. I believe in transferable skills and people are smart enough they can learn it. But the depth of the madness in our political system, you got to have some kind of exposure to not get rolled over by the machine when you get there.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that either. It
I
seems
don't
like we're
either.
finding a lot of things that don't work,
Yep.
like Joy, in our
Hmm.
hyper localized
Hmm.
situation here in Southwest Ohio, or Tim Ryan on the state level in Ohio. They were very moderate and very middle of the road,
Hmm.
and like
Hmm.
barely Democrats, and
Right.
he really
Right.
did the messaging towards the middle, really tried to work, you convince Republicans who
Hmm.
don't recognize their party anymore because of what
Right.
Trump has done to it, and tried to
Right.
reach the people. And they didn't win either.
Yeah.
So it's really a conundrum. Like, you can play to the middle and still lose, or you can, go far left to still lose.
Right.
We had Nan Whaley running for governor here, who really made her core issue, abortion, that we need to have access to all of our
Hmm.
healthcare options.
Hmm. Hmm.
Any human does.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so, and that didn't work either. So I
No,
think we're finding things that don't work, but we have yet to find that thing that does work.
that
You're
thing
right.
that does. Well, Uvalde went red.
Wow.
Uvalde.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't understand that. I don't understand that at all. And I don't know, but I also don't know what was going on with voter registration, voter suppression. I don't know any of that stuff there because I know they were out heavy and loud after that happened. And for that to have gone red, something that to me, of all the things I've seen, that to me smells.
Yeah.
That one smells. Now, it could just be that it was too far away and they didn't think about it, and they just I don't know, but that one baffles me.
You hit on a really interesting point there, Laurel. First of all, I don't understand that either. That is very baffling, and I would be, have a critical eye on that too. But I think there is so much that we don't understand. Like for me, I don't understand how parents can vote for people who are going to
Hmm.
give their children less rights than they have. How do you vote
Exactly.
for less rights than you have for your children?
I,
I
I
don't
I don't
understand.
get it.
So I think we have to do some more work there to try to understand. I don't understand how people don't link the abortion issue to the economy. What do you think is going to happen to your personal finances when your family expands, whether you want it to or not? I
And
don't
when we
get.
keep, I don't get it either. And when we keep saying interest rates, even when you think about student debt, it's not about the debt itself, it's about the compound interest. That's the problem. The interest is predatory, right?
Mhm.
Don't worry about giving people $10,000. Pause the interest or make them interest free loans. Banks are making enough money.
Mhm.
Fannie Mae and Sally Mae make enough money.
Yeah.
Pay it back or make it a flat rate. A flat rate.
Mhm.
Here's how much you earn. Here's how much you borrowed. You owe 1% on top of that when you're done.
Yeah. Like fixed mortgages instead of
Uh,
arms,
Hello?
right?
That's the thing that kills people. They're buried under the interest rate. It's like a credit card. You're buried under the interest, not about the stuff that you borrowed in the beginning. And
Yeah.
so I don't know. I don't know.
I think
I don't
you're
know.
right on though with like your work with the League of Women Voters because
Yeah.
so much of what we're talking about is education and
Yes.
understanding people who don't agree with us. And I think people who vote differently than I do, they don't understand me.
Right.
There's a lack of understanding, and
Yes.
we got to bridge that divide somehow.
And an inability to create space for conversations.
Mm.
Right. People have just been so angry for so long, and there's so much just madness and lies and all of that it's like we lost the ability to be civil. I remember reading something a long time ago that said one of the biggest mistakes we made was telling people you don't discuss, religion and politics at work.
Right.
And they're like, first, that's the one of the worst things we could have done because now people don't know how to discuss it in a
Mhm.
civil manner. I'm like,
People get their backs up, the hair on their neck standing up, even just thinking about having that conversation.
absolutely, absolutely. It's like
That
that
is
law of
something
unintended
we could
consequences.
do. People, you got to start having those conversations. You do a great job of
Yes,
it here on this platform, on your radio show, on your podcast. But people in their everyday lives, they're afraid to have that conversation with their
yes,
fellow parents at the bus stop, with their
yep,
coworkers, with other people at their church because it's not polite.
yep,
Um,
yep.
yeah, we got to start having those conversations again. I've
We
really
have to.
enjoyed listening to Gina Davis talk the past couple
Hmm.
weeks about her book. It's called something like Dying of Politeness. That's probably not exactly it. Um,
I
but
like her.
how we are just taught to be so polite that it's killing
Hmm.
us.
It
Um,
is. It is. And that's why I tell people it's not unkind to be clear. You can say some things, right? It's not a lack of respect or lack of kindness, right? Or lack of politeness to have candid conversations. It's about the words you use and the tone you use.
Right. And it goes back to something else I always hear you say, which is if you can't listen to people who have a differing opinion, how are you going to reinforce even if you're reinforcing your perspective, if you don't hear those other
Exactly.
opinions, you can either, agree to change your opinion or your perspective or reinforce your own.
Exactly. Exactly. How do you know yours is right if you never listen to anyone else's? It just I don't know. I've always been that person, and I don't agree with everybody, and it's sometimes hard to listen to dissenting stuff, and I have to check myself sometimes about being discerning about who I listen to because I don't want to turn on Fox. I am not listening to anything that Candace Owens says. Right? I'm not doing that.
That's completely fair.
Oh, and at the same time, I'm like, but you know what? But there are some people that I do need to listen to. I need to pay attention. I need to hear what they're saying. Again, physician heal thyself, right? Because if nothing else, at least I know how to shore up my argument by listening to
Mhm.
what theirs is.
Yeah.
But it's hard sometimes, Jenny.
It
It is so hard to
really is.
listen to madness because I can't listen to
Mhm.
conspiracy theorists, right? I can't listen. If you're going to lie, we can't have a conversation.
Right. I can't listen to election deniers, same thing.
Oh, I can't. That I can't do. That I cannot
Mhm.
do. I can't listen to people who say that's not what he said. That's not what he meant. If he did,
Mhm.
that's not what he said. But if he did say it, it's not what he meant.
But
I,
maybe we need to listen just so we can understand where they're coming from. Even if we don't understand their position, we can at least
yes,
maybe get an insight into their process, like how they got there.
or at least know who not to pay attention to. I'm like, at least I know. What do they say? Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. At least I know who you are. I need to
Right?
keep you real close to me so I can see what you're doing. Cause
Hmm.
see,
When they show you who they are, believe them the first time. As
exactly. So I don't know. I'm gonna keep hope alive. I'm gonna keep hope alive. You know, I'm gonna keep making good trouble because that's what John Lewis said. I'm gonna keep
Mhm.
dissenting like the notorious RBG.
Yep.
You know, I can't not say something or do something. I can't. I
Right.
just can't. I just need to rest a
I had
minute.
that thought today too. I was like, man, I worked so hard this election cycle. I
Yep.
donated so much of my time and
And
my
you
happiness
canvassed and
and my
everything.
heart and just I was really and I was thinking I am going to get through this election day knowing
Yeah.
there's no doubt in my mind that I did everything I did. And yet
Yes.
this morning I still had regret
Yeah.
because I had given too much. It felt like, oh well, everything I did didn't matter. So
Hmm.
we've got to, meet that, negotiate those boundaries where like you feel like you can give all that you can't, all that
Yeah.
you can. You don't give so much of yourself that you lose sight of what else is important in your life and keep in perspective.
Absolutely. But I think what you said is important too from the standpoint of when we do everything we can and we still don't win, how do we stay connected and engaged? Because, for me, yes, I want to win and I want the people I vote for to win. But more importantly, I can't not participate in the process. And how do I reconcile the effort, knowing that my whole deal is just tell the truth. If you win fair and square, then you won.
Right.
But when you cheat, that I just and so how do we, as you said, when it doesn't go our way, but we can't and I don't mean the big lie, can't trust the process.
Mhm.
I mean the evidence based voter suppression, because there is no evidence in voter fraud. There
Right.
is evidence of voter suppression. When
Hmm.
we're fighting that kind of stuff and the new age poll tax and all of these kind of things, the loopholes and that's what's discouraging to me. How do you push through that? When you're doing everything, how do you push through that?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head there is, what choice do we have? Do we just give up?
Hmm.
I can't imagine doing that either. I know
Mm-mm.
people who do that. I don't think they're
Yeah.
happy any happier than I am today.
Right.
They're just as miserable as I am. They're just thinking,
Yes.
oh, maybe I should have done more. I should have done this. I mean, at least I'm thinking, well, I did everything that I could, and I'm still
Exactly.
happy. So that's good information.
Yes.
But it's
Yeah.
not going to change what I do. I might, shore up some of my boundaries and try to keep that a
Hmm.
little more in mind next election cycle. But roll over and let whatever happen? No, I'm not
Can't
doing
do
that.
that.
Mm-mm.
Can't do that. Can't do that. There's too much at stake, right? So for those of you who are listening to us on YouTube, or will listen to the replay, don't give up. Don't give up. There were some substantial changes made this time. There really were. Um, People did speak, and even in those places where there was true voter suppression, people still came out. I mean, people stood in line. I was in line over an hour and a half when I
Oh,
voted,
wow.
early voted. Um, People got in line early. People did come back to line. People stood in line. And to everybody who did that, thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for taking this seriously. For those of you who didn't, I'd like you to consider why and get involved in the process, because there are people who gave up a lot for you to be able to exercise your vote. And for me, don't come at me if you didn't participate. We can't have a conversation. And I had somebody say to me the other day, I said that to someone, they're like, no, the whole purpose of this democracy is I can choose not to vote and I still have a say.
Mm-mm.
Maybe with somebody else, but not here. Not here. If you didn't participate, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. So I just please try not to be discouraged. Take heart. Take heart. Um, I'm believing that we are going to make some strides. I think it's all about getting things on the ballot, um, because the other pieces of the system are are way too skewed and way too set in old crazy processes. We got to get some stuff on the ballot to take it to the people and just let the people decide, and then show up when it gets on the ballot. So Jenny, we're both going to get some rest.
Yes. Thank you so much, Laurel. I'm so glad you had the show
Thank
tonight.
you. Me
Having
too.
conversations like this here on Fireside, or, reaching out to
Yeah.
your friends or the people in your circle, man, I
Yeah.
feel a lot lighter than when this show started. So thank you so much. I
Me
appreciate it.
too. Me too. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. Hi, John. We were actually getting ready to just head out, but I will put up the replay so you can tag on to it. So thank you for jumping in. Um, Again, I am Laurel Rutledge, the host of your show. Jenny, my producer and co-host tonight, right, of Alignment Vision Action here on Fireside. We'll get the replay up. We'll be back next week. I don't know yet what that's going to be about, but we'll be back next week. Maybe we'll do Empowerment Village next week, Jenny. We'll have to
Yeah,
look and
and
see
I
what's
was
on
going
the
to say,
calendar.
if you need more of Laurel Rutledge, check out her podcast, The Rutledge Perspective,
Yay!
anywhere you
Thank
download
you.
your podcasts. And she has a
Yes.
live radio show on Tuesday mornings at 10 a.m. Central at KCOH,
Yes.
The Boost in
The
Houston, Texas.
boost. Yes, yes. I'd love to see you all there on all of those places. And thank you for being here for Alignment Vision Action. I truly appreciate it, as always. Hey, John, no worries. Thank you so much. I just appreciate when people show up in the audience. So no worries. And I will be looking out for you as well. So have a great evening, everyone. It's all good. We're all going to get some sleep. We're all going to make it another good day tomorrow. So have a fantastic evening.